following is a production of Cary TV, the Town of Cary's government access channel.
Hi, welcome to Cary Matters, our monthly program that helps keep you informed of the issues that the Town of Cary is working on. I'm Jennifer Robinson, Council Representative from District A, and joining me today is Don Frantz, my fellow council member from District B. Don, thank you for joining me here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy being on this program.
I know you do.
I always do love getting to take a few minutes to update our citizens on some of the things that are happening in our town.
And do we ever have a lot going on in our town?
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. Things have really been picking up since the recession. I picked 3 topics for us to discuss today, all of which are issues with no easy answers. And that's why I picked them. Usually we're talking about just the facts, ma'am, here, but today we're talking about a couple of things that we've really grappled over. And I thought it'd be good for you, our citizens, to hear about a few of the tough decisions that we've been working with. So today, Don and I are going to talk about school capacity, filling the council vacancy, and office versus residential development.
Fun, fun.
Fun, fun, fun.
All right, well, let's get started. Let's talk about schools. So schools are over capacity throughout Cary, especially in Western Cary, which I know you're all too familiar with.
Yeah.
To address school crowding, Wake County Schools has capped several schools west of Highway 55, including Mills Park Middle, Mills Park Elementary, and Alston Ridge Elementary. There's also talk of capping Panther Creek High School as well as Cary Elementary. This means that if a school doesn't have room for a new student, that student is sent to an uncapped school.
Yeah. And having overcrowded schools has many implications. These caps create uncertainty for people moving into the area, and the caps also keep kids from attending school with their neighbors and sometimes even their siblings. And it makes it difficult for some people to sell their homes. So overcrowded schools have some major problems. In addition, we're finding that these overcrowded schools have very large class sizes. Several of them have many, many cottages, so much so that it looks like a campus of cottages. And then we have strained resources, such as the cafeterias and the bathrooms. So in short, overcrowded schools are bad for the economy because it impacts people in a negative manner.
Absolutely. And people are asking, how did we get into this situation in the first place? Well, Wake County put a bond referendum for schools on the 2013 ballot to address school construction needs, and that bond was approved. But part of the problem is that in Wake County, you've got 2 government entities responsible for school funding and construction. The county controls the purse strings while the school board determines where new schools should be built. In the past, these 2 entities haven't always agreed, which has led to some animosity and disagreement between the 2 boards and ultimately delays in building new schools and performing some of the renovations. Some folks feel that this model isn't working and that responsibility for school construction should rest solely with one government entity. And that's a discussion worth having. The good news, however, is that the bond money that has been appropriated to build new schools and renovate existing schools throughout Wake County.
Mm-hmm. And it has been a challenge for Wake County to keep up with the high growth in Western Cary, as well as Apex and Holly Springs. A lot of people think that Wake needs to address the needs of these areas by funding more schools. So let's talk about what schools may be built in Western Cary as a result of this bond referendum that's already been approved. At this point, and based on our best information, the school board hopes to open White Oak Elementary in 2016, Green Level High School in 2017, and another elementary school, which is yet to be named, on O'Kelly Chapel Road in 2017. And that's all assuming that all goes well. Even so, it still leaves people in the area with a very big problem. There isn't a plan that we know of to build a middle school. Mills Park Middle is way over capacity, and many, many more children are moving into the area as we speak.
All right, so let's look at the numbers. A recent count showed that we have 7,162 single-family homes, townhomes, and apartments in Western Cary. We have site plans for another 3,200 single-family homes and 700 apartments. So in other words, developers are actively working on those 3,900 homes. And in addition, the council has approved the rezonings for another 250 homes, bringing the likely construction total to somewhere around 4,150 units. And while lots of communities throughout the country would love to have some of these problems that we have, with growth comes responsibilities. The bottom line is that we need more schools to accommodate the 1,900 or so children that are expected to live in those 4,150 additional units. And at the same time, well, I for one think we also need to take a look at a number of the year-round schools that are under capacity in Cary. Some don't even have 4 tracks.
That's right. I agree, and I think the school board is doing that. I think they're looking at Alston Ridge Elementary School to add that the other tracks to that school. Okay, so this pressure is being felt largely by the council. With overcrowded schools and an expected addition of approximately 1,900 students, the council is asking itself, what role do we have in addressing this problem? For over a decade, our town has provided frequent, regular updates to the Wake County school system about rezoning and site plan approvals so that the county could plan appropriately for school capacity. But unfortunately, that communication has not accomplished what we hoped for. So presently, we are being asked to approve 485 more units divided among about 7 more projects. And even more proposals are teeing up to come to the council. In fact, I just left a meeting where somebody was asking me about one that he'd like to propose. So the requests are just pouring in. The council concern is that additional units will further exacerbate the school crowding problem.
Recently, the council voted to table a rezoning request rather than approve it and add more students to the area, while we do continue to work on solutions to the school problem. Personally, I feel terrible for somebody who wants to sell their land but can't because of factors outside of their control, but
Yeah.
it's a tough situation.
Yeah, I totally understand that concern. I feel bad for the landowners that are caught in this position. At the same time, I think that the state of our schools affects our quality of life, which has a huge role in economic development. And if we have a poor environment by overcrowding our schools, we'll hurt our overall economy. And there is no doubt that it is ultimately the county's job to fix this problem. But in the meanwhile, the town wants to continue to do what we can to help.
Absolutely. Before we move on to our break, we should probably address one question that we've received about the town's ability to deny rezonings based on school capacity. The law is very clear on this. Now, I don't want to sound like a lawyer because I'm definitely not a lawyer. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night either. But we've certainly consulted with our attorneys. The rezoning authority given to cities by the state legislature permits cities to facilitate the efficient and adequate provision of transportation, utilities, schools, parks, and other public requirements. In other words, the council can deny a rezoning request if it believes that there are inadequate roads or schools to serve that potential development.
That's right. Thank you, Don. Stick with us during this break, and when we return, we're going to talk about Gail Adcock's departure from the council, which is very sad to us, but also we're going to talk about the vacancy that her departure creates.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. I've always wanted to be.
Hi, thanks for staying with us during that break. Okay, Don, life has changed for us on the council. Let's talk about District D Representative Gail Adcock.
Unfortunately, that would be former District D Council Representative Gail Adcock. Yeah, we are really happy for our fellow council member who you guys elected to the state legislature. Thanks. But at the same time, we're totally bummed to lost her from the council, if you can't already tell. So, if only state law allowed a person to serve in 2 elected offices, but which they don't for good reasons. But Gail has taken office as the new House District 41 representative this month. Her last day as a Cary council member was December 31st. And before she left, the council struggled with yet another tough decision. Should we appoint somebody to fill that seat or just leave it vacant until the next year and let you guys decide?
And there were good arguments on both sides of this issue. On one hand, some of us thought that it would be helpful for the full council to operate with a full council so that we would not have to deal with tie votes. And also some of us thought that it would be good to give one of our many qualified citizens a chance to serve our town. On the other hand, some council members thought that the process to appoint could be so lengthy that the appointed person would only have a short time to actually serve. As Ed Yerhoff pointed out, it takes a long time to get up to speed. He thought that there simply wasn't enough time for someone to come up to speed and be effective.
And there's a lot of truth in that. It does take time for a newbie to learn all the ins and outs of the town and how and why things happen and who everybody is. Another concern raised with appointing someone is it might give somebody a leg up come election time. Some of us thought that it would be best to not endorse anybody through an appointment process and instead just let you, the voters, decide.
Okay, so after 2 lengthy debates, the council decided to refrain from appointing someone to fill the vacancy left by Gail. Her seat, the District D seat, will be up for election this fall. So, anyone interested in running for that seat may file to run starting the first Friday, July 3rd at 12 noon, through the third Friday, July 17th at 12 noon. In addition to Gail's seat, Cary will have 3 other seats open for election, and that will be mayor, one of our 2 at-large seats, and your seat, Don, the District B seat. For those of you eager to serve, keep in mind that you will need to fill out paperwork at the Wake County Board of Elections in addition to publicly stating your intent to run. And this trips up a lot of people, so be careful.
Be very careful. And as far as the council operating without Gail, I just have to say that even if we did appoint someone, it would really be hard to fill Gail's shoes. So she has been such a great council representative, hardworking, kind, caring, passionate, gave so much of herself for the town. We are going to miss her a lot.
Yeah, we really are, Don. You're going to make me cry. All right, let's change the subject. Another difficult decision before the council is the importance of having land zoned for office and institutional. So recently we've had several requests to rezone land from office to residential. And while in some instances it is reasonable and logical to change zoning to residential, it does mean that we lose opportunities to have office development in the future. So let's talk about why that is happening.
Well, quite simply, it's happening because of market forces. There's a high demand in Cary for apartments, townhomes, single-family homes. People want to live here. The office market hasn't similarly rebounded since the recession, so people who own their land that is zoned for office can't find anybody that wants to buy it and build on it. And really, it's not just since the recession. This has been an issue for quite some time in Cary. Some landowners have been trying to find office developers for decades. Recently, the council rezoned land on Harrison Avenue from office to residential, and that landowner will finally be able to sell his land for development, but there are plenty others that are having a similar problem.
Yeah. It's important for the council to weigh these market forces with our responsibility to plan appropriately for future development. In the last year, we have rezoned 187 office acres to residential. And at this time, we have about 682 acres left in town that is zoned for office and institutional. So going forward, I think it'll be very important for the council to keep an eye on our office and really dig deep to make sure that each request for residential is actually the best use for the land. Okay, after this break, we'll talk about something that isn't a bit controversial, and that is the events and meetings during the month of January.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Okay, we're back. In this final segment of Cary Matters, we want to talk about what's happening in January and how you can be involved. Don, start us off. What do we have going on?
Oh, all kinds of fun stuff. Really worthwhile events happening this month occur during the MLK Dream Fest from January 16th through January 19th. There are activities all weekend long, so check out the townofcary.org website for a full list.
Excellent. Okay, and if you have kids or if you are a kid at heart, come on down to Bond Park on January 10th for snow tubing on man-made snow. There will be 12 one-hour spots, and anyone 3 years old and older may participate, unless you have a bad back, Don, in which case stay home. This is so popular that pre-registration is required, so visit the calendar section on the town's website as soon as possible to secure your spot.
Hopefully the event doesn't get snowed out again. We also have a number of Cary Invasion basketball games throughout the month, several concerts and performances, as well as the opening of some art shows. Learn more about these events and many, many more on our town's events calendar at townofcary.org. The events calendar also includes our public meetings.
That's right. So before we wrap up, let's mention that we will have a quasi-judicial council meeting on Thursday, January 8th, and our regular council meetings are going to be held on January 15th and 28th. Note that the 28th is one day earlier than usual. Also, the council will have a work session on January 27th. And if you are really interested in local governance, travel with us to Charlotte to watch the council at our annual retreat from January 29th through the 31st.
Well, that's it for this edition of Cary Matters. We appreciate your watching and hope that what we've shared has been of interest to you. Please let us hear from you, as your time is important, and we want this show to be of value as we work to bring you, our citizens, closer to your government.
Great, and remember, help keep Cary litter-free, clean, green, and beautiful by volunteering with our Spruce program. Thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for choosing to call Cary home.
This has been a production of Cary TV. Visit the Town of Cary's website at townofcary.org.